Welcome in, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for today's explainer. We're diving straight into a truly gripping, highly atmospheric fable today called The Clay of Redemption. It's a beautifully crafted story and it explores some really deep themes. Social hierarchies, the real value of hard work, and what exactly happens when the very things a society looks down upon become the only things that can save it. Let's jump right in.
So here's a question to kick us off. Can the dirtiest job save a dying village? We are about to look at a society where superficial judgments, literally how clean a person's hands are, clash violently with the essential, gritty, physically demanding labor that actually keeps their world turning.
Act 1. The Outcast of Red Clay. Our story begins in the village of Oakhaven, so let's quickly establish our main cast to understand the dynamics at play here. Our protagonist is Kaylin. She's a 19-year-old girl who is quiet, remarkably resilient, and incredibly strong. We first meet her methodically digging through the thick, crimson mud of the valley. She's just out there hour after hour, working with this heavy wooden spade, to the point where her hands are permanently stained red from the grueling work. Then we have Grandmother Mayla. She's in her 70s, she's blind, deeply wise, and she serves as Kaylin's guardian and teacher of the ancient ways. And finally, standing in stark, direct contrast to both of them, is Elder Brandon. He's a man in his 50s, and he is the proud, highly traditional leader of Oakhaven who firmly enforces the social rules of the village.
Okay, let's dive into the core conflict here. Because in Oakhaven, a person's worth is entirely measured by cleanliness. And because of her work, Kaylin is totally shunned. Picture this scene. Kaylin is walking through the bustling village market, carrying her freshly dug raw clay. The reaction from the crowd is just visceral. The villagers are literally pulling their children back, away from her. They're muttering under their breath as she passes by. And watching over this entire market is Elder Brandon, looking down at her with this cold, harsh disapproval. She is a total outcast. But that night, the whole atmosphere shifts. We move away from the harsh, judgmental glare of the public market and into the intimate, humble quiet of their small cottage. Kaylin is just weighed down by the town's rejection, and she confesses her profound sadness to her blind grandmother. And Mala, drawing on this deep, ancient wisdom, gently but firmly grounds her. She tells her, "The earth is the mother of life. Be obedient to the soil, work hard without complaint, and never let pride enter your heart."
Act 2. The Plague of Ash.
Suddenly, disaster strikes Oakhaven. The village's central well, the literal lifeblood of the community, becomes poisoned with something called black fever. The scene is absolutely terrifying. The water that these villagers rely on for everything has turned dark, murky, and oily. It's thick and contaminated, and almost immediately, the villagers begin falling terribly, dangerously ill. Absolute panic sweeps through Oakhaven.
Right in the midst of this chaos, Grandmother Mayla realizes exactly what is happening. She tells Kaylin that the ultimate time of testing has finally arrived. She explains that hidden away, deep beneath the red clay of the High Canyon, lies a subterranean spring. It's a completely pure, untouched water source. But to access it and bring it all the way down to the village to ensure their survival, Kaylin is going to have to do the impossible.
Act 3. The Silent, Grueling Labor.
You see, Kaylin doesn't just have to find the water, she has to safely transport and filter it. The mechanics of her labor break down into 3 actionable steps. First, she must dig a massive filtration trench. Second, she has to mold and bake long, hollow clay pipes. And third, she must carefully line the whole system with charcoal and sand. Actually, stepping back for a second, this is fascinating because this grueling process directly mirrors real-world ancient water purification and aqueduct techniques. It requires extreme precision, immense physical strength, and a really deep understanding of the earth itself. And that brilliantly illustrates just how demanding this work truly is. The physical toll on Kaylin is staggering. She is out there entirely alone, carrying massive, heavy logs just to build a kiln capable of reaching high temperatures. She meticulously bakes the red clay pipes until they achieve a glass-like hardness so they won't leak. She's digging this deep, winding trench all the way from the High Canyon spring down to the village boundary. Through all of this sleepless exhaustion, her hands are literally bleeding. But every single time she wants to collapse, she remembers her grandmother's words, and she pushes through the pain. Now, while Kaylin is fighting through her absolute exhaustion up in the canyon, the situation down below has reached its lowest point.
We just saw the fiery heat of the kiln and the frantic, heavy labor of the trench, but as the sun rises on Oakhaven, the village is completely silent and dying.
Act 4. The Vessel of Life.
Out of that quiet devastation walks Kaylin, the outcast. She is battered and utterly exhausted, but in her hands, she's carrying something magnificent. A large, flawlessly beautiful, fire-polished red clay urn. And on the outside of this urn, you can literally see the beads of cool condensation. It is the ultimate symbol of life arriving right in the middle of a place of death.
Now, what's really interesting about this moment is the incredible tension in the air. The villagers are sick, they are desperate, but they're still hesitant. They're just watching her closely. And it's Elder Brandon, the very man who enforced her banishment in the first place, who steps forward to take the ultimate risk. He takes the urn, he lifts it to his lips, and he drinks. The water isn't just safe, it is crystal clear, incredibly sweet, and ice cold. And in that single moment, he realizes they are saved.
Act 5. Red clay becomes true gold.
The villagers are totally rejuvenated, but they need to see where this miracle actually came from. Elder Brandon leads a procession out of the village, tracing Kaylin's trench. When they arrive, they don't find magic. They find a magnificent, expertly engineered network of beautiful red clay pipes. They just stare in absolute awe at this massive filtration system Kaylin built with her own bleeding hands, steadily bringing pure, life-saving water directly into Oakhaven. Faced with the monumental scale of what this young, so-called unclean girl has done for them, the village's entire worldview just shatters. Elder Brandon, a man entirely defined by his pride and traditional rules, physically drops to his knees, right there in the red mud, before Kaylin. "We were wrong to judge your dirty work," he tells her, and following his lead, the rest of the villagers bow in profound respect.
Looking at Kaylin's complete arc, we see such a profound shift. We started in the past, right? Where she was shunned at the market, treated as an unclean outcast simply because her work was dirty. In the present, through her sheer, uncomplaining labor and obedience to ancient wisdom, she saves them all and is welcomed back with the highest respect. And looking to the future, the very rules of the village have changed entirely. Kaylin now sits on the village council. Her days are spent teaching the youth of Oakhaven how to mold and bake clay. She proves, unequivocally, that true gold isn't found in staying perfectly clean. It's found in hard work, humility, and the soil beneath their feet.
So the crucial point here is that this fable leaves us with a really powerful reflection on our own world. Think about the manual labor, the gritty, behind-the-scenes, sometimes literal dirty work that keeps our societies functioning every single day. The people whose hands might not be perfectly clean, but whose contributions are absolutely vital. What unclean work holds true gold in your own community? It's a fantastic question to carry with you as you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious, and I'll catch you next time.